97% of people reading this will die in poverty, not homelessness. That's a different statistic. I mean, relative poverty, money always tight, always urgent, always dependent on the next paycheck. They'll have had a job, maybe multiple jobs, maybe a career. But the currency they work in is time, and time runs out. Here's the data you don't usually see laid out, the part nobody wants to talk about because it's uncomfortable. Level 1 of financial freedom is when your monthly expenses equal your monthly income. You make just enough. The ratio is exactly 1-to-1. Every dollar you earn leaves your account. It flows out as fast as it flows in. Most of the developed world lives here. 70 to 75%. The US, Europe, Canada, Australia. You can have a good job and live at level 1 forever. 6 figures in annual income, still level 1 if you spend 6 figures. The trap is that income rises, but so does the lifestyle. You're on a treadmill that matches your speed. Level 2 is when your monthly income exceeds your expenses. You have margin. You can save. Maybe you save 20% of what you earn. Maybe 30. You have a checking account with actual money in it. You sleep better. You can handle an emergency. About 20% of the developed world lives here. They're the ones who have their life together. Middle class, stable. They will die with some money in the bank, maybe 6 figures, maybe more. They'll leave something behind. But here's the hidden math. The math nobody shows you. If they live 30 years in retirement and they have $500,000 saved, that's about $13,000 a year, divided by 12 months. Just over $1,000 monthly. Not poverty, but dependent on Social Security, dependent on the government, dependent on their children, dependent on luck. Level 3 is where the numbers change completely. Your passive income exceeds your active income. You don't work because you need money. You work because you want to. Your assets are generating more than you spend. $100,000 a year in passive income? That's a completely different life. You don't need a paycheck. You need purpose. You make decisions because you want to, not because you have to. You have choices. 2% of the population lives here. 2%. The data becomes interesting and depressing when you track how people move between levels. From level 1 to level 2 is actually straightforward mathematically. It's almost boring how simple it is. Spend less than you earn. Put the difference into something that compounds. But it requires 2 things most people don't have. A surplus to work with and the psychological ability to wait. If you make $40,000 a year and you live on $35,000, you have $5,000 to work with. If you never save it, you're dead there. If you save it for 4 decades at a real return of 8% annually, nothing fancy, just an index fund, you get to about $500,000. That puts you at the top of level 2. Congratulations, you're comfortable. Here's where most people stop. Not because they can't go further, because level 2 feels like winning. You have money. You're not stressed about bills anymore. You can buy things that broke people can't. Relative to where you started, you're rich. Psychologically, you've arrived. The hunger is gone. And without hunger, there's no drive to go further. So you stay. You optimize level 2. You get the retirement account. You get the house. You get the car that's paid off. You settle. The psychological trap of level 2 is that it's just comfortable enough to prevent you from doing the work to reach level 3. Because reaching level 3 requires a different strategy entirely. It's not about saving more money. You can't save your way to level 3. It's about your money working harder. It's about capital allocation instead of income optimization. The research on this is clear. People stuck at level 2 earn money and save it traditionally. Checking accounts, maybe a 401k, a mutual fund. They watch it grow slowly. Over 40 years, the compounding gets them to $500,000, $1 million if they're disciplined. But people at level 3, they've moved their capital into assets that actually generate income. Real estate, dividend stocks, businesses, things that produce cash flow today, not just appreciation tomorrow. The difference isn't intelligence, it's strategy. Here's the math that matters. Here's why level 3 is different. If you have $100,000 and you buy dividend stocks yielding 5%, you're making $5,000 a year without working. If you do that with $500,000, you're making $25,000 a year. $1 million? $50,000? $5 million? $250,000? Suddenly, you don't need a job. The capital is doing the work. The machine is self-perpetuating. The reason most people never reach level 3 isn't because they can't reach level 3. It's because they never understand the difference between earning money and having money work. Level 1 and level 2 people think in terms of income. I earned 60,000 this year. That's the frame. That's the metric. The problem is that frame is broken. It's a trap dressed up as ambition. The frame that matters is different. How much is my capital generating? Because capital doesn't care about your effort. It doesn't care about your credentials or your hustle or your brand. Capital just works. It works while you sleep. It works while you're sick. It works while you're on vacation. It works while you're making mistakes. That's why capital compounds. But to shift to this frame, you have to do something that level 2 refuses. Take risk with actual capital. Not I'm saving money. That's capital preservation, not capital deployment. But I'm buying real estate, or I'm buying dividend stocks, or I'm starting a business, all of which can fail. Most level 2 people rationalize their way out of this. They use fear as philosophy. Real estate is risky. The stock market is rigged. Most businesses fail. All true, but incomplete. What's also true, and nobody says this part, is that not having capital generating income is riskier. You're betting your entire retirement on the government existing. You're betting that Social Security doesn't collapse. You're betting that you don't live past 85. You're betting on a paycheck continuing forever. When you add it up, that's a lot of bets. The 2% that reach level 3 don't rationalize differently. They risk differently. They look at a rental property and don't see risk. They see cash flow. They buy stocks not for the fantasy of appreciation, but for the quarterly dividend. They start businesses not for the exit event, but for the monthly revenue. They've shifted the metric, and they're willing to be wrong. The business fails, they start another one. The property doesn't appreciate, they keep the cash flow and sell later. The stock crashes. They buy more at a discount. Failure is data, not identity. This isn't unique insight. This is basic capital allocation. But it requires a mindset shift that most people never make, because it requires you to treat money like a tool that works for you, not a number on a screen that you protect and preserve. The coldest part of this whole story is that it's not about intelligence or luck or connections. It's about understanding what game you're playing. 97% of people are playing the earn money game. They're trying to optimize one variable, how much they can earn per hour of work, raise, promotion, side hustle, certification. They're trying to add zeros to their annual income. They're trying to optimize the wrong metric. That game has a ceiling. You only have so many hours in a day. You only have so much capacity. Eventually you cap out, and when you cap out, you're done. You can't earn more. You can only save more, which delays the inevitable retirement into mediocrity. The 3% are playing a different game. They're not trying to optimize earnings. They're trying to optimize capital deployment. How much of their capital is generating income? How can they take that income and redeploy it to generate more? It's a compounding game, not a capped game. And compounding over time beats everything. Here's what the studies actually show. Here's the data. People who reach level 2 start saving around 25. If they save 5% of income, they get to $500,000 by retirement. Maybe 750,000. It's solid. It's not nothing. People who reach level 3 do something different. They start earlier, they save more. But the crucial difference, the thing that separates them, is that they take that money and deploy it into assets, not for appreciation, for cash flow. 15% of their income goes into assets that generate income. By 40, they're at level 3. By 50, they're generationally wealthy. By 60, they're free. The time difference? 15 years. The income difference? Often less than the level 2 person. The knowledge difference? Everything. Because one understood that your job is temporary. Your capital is permanent. Your career might end. But money, if it's working, never retires. Before my first million, and after, because these truths don't change with scale, I realized something that changed everything. All the level 2 people I know are trying to optimize the wrong variable. They're negotiating for raises that maybe get them an extra $1,000 a month. Then they pay taxes on it and they're left with $600. Then inflation eats half of that. Meanwhile, someone at level 3 with $1 million generating 5% annually made $5,000 that month. Passive. No taxes until next quarter. No negotiation required. No cap. The level 2 person is exhausted. The level 3 person is bored. And the 3% who understand this difference, they've already made their choice. They moved their capital into assets. They accepted the risk. They're waiting for the compounding to finish. The 97% are still trying to earn their way out. And it's not going to work. That's the difference between dying in poverty and dying wealthy, not how hard you work. Whether you work or whether you let your money work, one compounds, the other dies when you do.